All right, crew. We are starting phase one today. I'm currently hanging out in my classroom so you can kind of see where I'm at. I just wanted to touch base and kind of talk about a few things. One, I want to talk about the past. I want to talk about the future. I want to talk about where we are now. So the past is we got off of phase two. We just went through retest week, and it was exciting to say the least. I know when I was coaching Monday nights classes, I think every single person in my class PR'd their squat clean. So we just had PRs across the board, which was very, very exciting for us as coaches to kind of see those progressions. Hopefully it was exciting for you as athletes to see and justify all the time you spend in the with those results, being into the gym with us. So we came off test week, and it just really solidified what we're doing. More solidified what you guys are doing with coming in and working hard and taking our coaching, trusting the programming, and just showing up every day. I know through the first couple phases, we've really put an emphasis, especially on our Olympic lifting with the technique work. We're going to continue that on. But like I said, hopefully there's some buy-in of, hey, if I dial back and have this long-term view of what we're trying to do here, it's going to benefit me way more than, hey, I want to PR today. Now, there's a lot of ways to PR the day, but they may not be just gripping and ripping the heaviest weight you can be. So in order to win the day, that can be, hey, I'm going to really dial in my technique. When I'm going to do my tempos, if it's a 3-second tempo, I'm going to almost count to 4, right? So there's ways to win that are not just numerical, and really what that turns out to be is numerical wins at the end, like we just saw test week of phase 2 across the board PRs. So it was exciting to see that. I really appreciate the effort and the consistency we're seeing as we move forward. So like I said, past going really, really well. Future, I think it's really easy to take this year-long view and then not realize that we're 2.5 months out from the Open, which is kind of what we're building to this whole time, right? That's our season for us, is we're trying to peak at the end of February for our 3-week-long Open. I hope someday we get people who are really excited to compete past that, and we've talked about competitions in the area and how we can work with that as well. But just know that our gym programming kind of guides us towards the end of February, which is 2.5 months. Like, that's nothing. We're going to be doing the Open before you even realize. So 2.5 months is about 2 more cycles, right? So it's maybe 10 weeks, and every cycle takes about 7. So we're maybe a cycle and a half out. So realize that phase 3 is going to be moving towards peaking. So with that in mind, we always are progressing. We have this year-long view in mind when we program. And so what that looks like is we've been doing lots and lots of technique work. Not to say we haven't been focused on strength. We've been kind of solidifying that shoulder joint, right? We started with a lot of strict press, then we moved to push press as we get heavier. So we've been building our muscles, but really what we've been doing is laying the foundation. I had a lot of good chats last week where people would, on either their snatch or their clean, they would get the pull, and then they would receive it and not be able to stand it up. And I know how frustrating that is, but from a coach's aspect, that's a beautiful thing. That means that your technique is so good that now you're out pulling your ability to lift something heavy. Well, I can coach somebody to lift something heavy way better than I can coach somebody to have great Olympic lifting technique. So if you're one of those people who can catch your snatch or who can get under it, but can't quite stand it up. Same thing on that. We were doing those squat cleans. How many people got under it and then just couldn't finish the lift? That's amazing. We have so much less work to do than the people who couldn't pull, right? Or who are getting the bar way out in front of them. And that, again, testament to your all's commitment to technical focus and coaching, listening to what we're trying to put out there. So again, if you're frustrated, it's a year-long view. This is what we want. This is what we're excited about, and we're going to build you. We're going to continue to build you in the manner moving forward, so that now that we've got these beautiful pulls, we're going to stand them right up. So what does that look like? What does phase 3 look like? Like we said, this is going to be the last complete phase before the open starts. Phase 4 is going to be kind of building us through the open. So phase 3 is kind of our last building block, right? So we've laid our foundation across the board, and now we're here to finish that. So we're going to talk through some things we have been doing and things we're going to start implementing. So first off, our high CNS, or our central nervous system lift, we always do it on Mondays. We're talking singles, doubles, and triples at a high percentage. Each time we've moved our technical lift to that position. So this month on Mondays, we're going to be working on our squat snatch. If having a high squat snatch is not a goal for you, completely acceptable. Talk to our coaches. We can absolutely, I know that it's a lot of work towards one lift, so there's a reason to squat snatch for every person out there. And so talk to your coaches if, hey, I don't super want a crazy heavy squat snatch. Cool, we can get that figured out. I know I've talked to a lot of people, and the squat snatch is one of these hate it, love it type things. The people who love it are the people who love technique. It's the people who love coming in and dialing in and seeing their progress. I think it's almost one of those challenges. It's like, wow, I'm not great at this, but with that, there's a lot of room for improvement, and it feels really good. So that's kind of the love it. The people who hate it are because it is incredibly challenging. It can be very frustrating. So my challenge to you is to find your wins within the squat snatch programming cycle on Mondays. What does a good Monday look like for you if the squat snatch is something that you're like, not my jam? So let's find out how we're still going to make that the best hour of your day on Mondays. And then kind of going through, we've got a couple of new things. So we're going to start to build that strength up. Like I talked about, we're getting underneath our cleans, we're getting underneath our snatches, and then we may just not have the capacity to stand that bad boy up. We're going to work on that. So if anything, phase 3 is squat heavy. Not necessarily as far as weight goes, although it will be, but we're going to do a good bit of squatting. So we're going to work on that overall strength. You're going to see a lot of back squats. What that's going to look like is mostly it's going to be speed work. So we're going to be trying to stand that bar up as fast as we can while still under control. And you're going to see a lot of things where we are doing our back squat speed work and immediately going into some seated box jumps. And really what we're trying to do there is work on the explosiveness. I'm going to put out something a little separate specifically for those seated box jumps, what we're looking for, why they're beneficial. But just be looking for, we'll be back squatting relatively heavy, but really mimicking some quick speeds, as well as that's what those seated box jumps are for, working on, again, the speed of it. Our skill, we've been working on that slow technique work, or going from top down on our snatches and our cleans to work on the skill. So this phase's skill is actually going to be the deadlift, which doesn't always feel like, what does that look like skill-wise? A lot of things, right? So we still need to make sure that bar is moving perfectly vertical, and the way we do that is tempo. So if you don't know what tempo means, what we mean by that is there's going to be a count up, a count down. So it may be a deadlift where we are counting to 4 on our way up, checking our positions everywhere from mid-shin to below our knee to above our knee to when our hips finally come forward to finish and lock out that deadlift. So we're going to be working on a lot of strength, but in a skilled manner with the deadlift. So this is going to be my big challenge, especially when we get into deadlifts, is as it gets heavy, all of a sudden that 4-second pull becomes 2 seconds. So where's our ego at? What are we trying to do? Are we trying to do a 2-second tempo so we can put a big number to write down? Or are we trying to be honest with ourselves, hopefully trusting us with what we're doing? So if it's a 4-second tempo, I can actually, let me tell you, I think that week 2 is, they're 2 to 3 second lift with a 3 to 4 second negative. So 3 to 4 seconds on the way back down. I challenge you to take the high end on those to begin with before you start getting a little fast with those. So speed work on back squats, skill work on deadlifts, our general physical preparedness. So GPP, if you've heard that a lot, that's basically what we're doing in general, is just being generally physically prepared for all things, is going to be the squat clean. So we'll still see that a good amount with our squat cleans, but that may be in and out throughout this phase. You may see it 1 week, it may go away for a week, because again, it's just a general focus on that. Our in-WOD lift. So we're doing back squats for strength. You are going to see a ton of front squats. I will say front squats are going to typically show themselves in a bulk manner, so high reps and within the WOD itself. So that's going to be paired with conditioning. So you're going to see things where you're trying to front squat with a high heart rate. So we're going to be doing lower weights, higher reps, but that's going to be kind of our in-WOD lift as we focus on, again, strength. So we're going to be back squatting one of the days, we're going to be deadlifting one of the days, and you're going to see a lot of front squats within those workouts as well. So right there, out of our 5 days, we're going to have 3 days with a good amount of working on that lower half, that posterior chain, making sure we're building that strength up. So I would be shocked. Not only are we, I don't want to say we're going away from the squat clean, right? But I would say we're not going to see as much of it. But I would guess in 7 weeks, if you retested your squat clean even from last week, I bet it's going to go up, because there's going to be a lot more strength. And that's the great thing about really dialing in technique work, is it doesn't go away overnight, right? So 7 weeks from now, all that work we've done on making sure we're getting good bar paths, and we are scooping under our cleans or our lifts to make sure we get a nice vertical force there. I think at the end of the 7 weeks, we're going to have a lot of strength to, one, put a little more force into that bar going up, and then two, when we do get underneath it, I think you're just going to stand it right on up. It's going to be a lot of fun. So I'm stoked. Kind of phase 3 is this more strength building, where it's just going to be really beneficial moving forward. So technique first, now we're building strength to kind of back it up. My guess was going to be phase 4, as we go into the open, is going to be pretty Metcon heavy. I'm going to start transitioning towards that at the end of phase 3. So you're going to end up seeing a lot of Metcons. And then other things that we're working on would be our conditioning pieces, right? So if you've already worked out today, or if you're watching this after Monday's workout, we open with a huge calorie row. So we're looking at that 20-minute domain-ish. I think it was 300 calories for men, 250 for women. So our aerobic focus, so aerobic just means long-natured, pulling in oxygen, turning that into energy, and continuing on as we go. So our aerobic bias is going to be the row. You're going to see a lot of rowing this cycle, a lot of rowing in a longer domain. Remember, if anything, we have endurance classes Tuesdays and Thursdays at 6:30. Rowing's going to work its way into those classes as well. So you're going to see a lot of rowing to kind of help that aerobic capacity that we're trying to build. So that way, when the open does come, and we've got some of those longer, those 20-minute time domains that we're feeling really good about those. Our anaerobic, so anaerobic is going to be without oxygen, right? So we're trying to go a little faster. I know it's winter, but we're going to try and run a little bit. We'll try and give you a bit of heads up. For instance, I'll tell you right now on Wednesday, our test is going to be an 800-meter run. So show up with your running shoes, and it's actually supposed to be gorgeous out, so maybe like a long sleeve t-shirt. But we're going to do some training on running. I think this is going to be a beautiful thing, where I know it's winter, so we won't be able to run all the time. But I do think in 7 weeks, you're going to be able to see how doing all these things together makes you better at everything else around it. So I think you'll run faster in 7 weeks, even if we're not necessarily running 2 or 3 times a week. So I think that's going to be a really cool thing. And then our skill focus. This is what I really enjoy about these skill focuses. Last time it was the kettlebell snatch, right? So I don't remember doing those. If I don't want to say ever, because I don't want to be wrong, but we didn't do many kettlebell snatches. We did a lot of dumbbell snatches. So we're always trying to find what we can be prepared for. So CrossFit's big slogan is the unknown and the unknowable. So we're going to test some things that, well, they've never done that in the open before. Last year, they had never done wall walks in the open before either. And how did that go for all of us, myself included? So the new skill focus, this phase is going to be the dumbbell overhead walking lunge. What's great about these is they are stupid hard for as lightweight as we're going to have you guys go. So we're going to start with men at 35s and women at 20s as the RX, but obviously when we want to scale that down if needed. The hard part about a dumbbell overhead walking lunge isn't necessarily doing them with one dumbbell, because we can compensate, right? It's doing them with 2 dumbbells. So if you struggle with shoulder mobility, it's going to show itself in these dumbbell overhead walking lunges. So getting both of your arms up overhead, locked out with weight supported while you're moving forward, it's going to definitely be a struggle, especially when we get deep into that lunge. Our hips are going to rotate. We can't keep our chest in the necessary, we can't compensate as well. So if these dumbbell overhead walking lunges are hard for you, good. What a fun thing we get to work on. Talk to our coaches about drills you can do before class, after class, to get those shoulders stretched out, lats stretched out, making sure our hips are nice and mobile, all the things that we know we should be doing, but sometimes it needs to slap us in the face of, oh wow, wall walks are really hard, I should probably do more. Oh wow, double dumbbell overhead walking lunges are really hard, I should probably work on those more. And then the other skill testing we're going to be working on is our toes to bar. So the goal here is to find what a manageable set is for us and do those. It doesn't benefit us as athletes to go to failure and do a whole bunch of singles and doubles. We're not actually getting better. So if I said, hey, do 50 toes to bar for time, and you get to 30, and then you do singles till 50, well, 20 of those didn't get any better. You didn't build any capacity. You just flung your toes at a bar for 20 reps, one at a time. So the goal here is to build that capacity. So when we talk about interval testing, when we talk about scaling, we always talk about scaling reps second. So it's going to be load, which you can't do because it's gymnastics, then reps, then movements. So if you're one of those people who has 3 toes to bar, awesome. Do 3 toes to bar before you scale down and immediately do your set of 10 knees to chest or whatever that looks like for you. So just remember that we are building capacity. We're looking long term. So be honest with yourself. If we're doing intervals and your toes bar starts at 10 and it goes to 7 and it goes to 4 and then 2, 2, 2, well, that 10 should have never happened, right? So we're going to have lots of opportunities to kind of work together as coaches and as athletes to figure out what that number needs to be for you. We'll drill plenty on toes to bar, especially early on, about how to get better at those, what we're looking for, and definitely technique cues. So we're not just, like I said, flinging our toes at the bar. There is a gymnastics correct way to do these, so hopefully we get better at those as well. So that's what phase 3 looks like. I'm really excited, not just because I'm good at rowing and running, because I also really, really suck at deadlifts. So I think doing some tempo of those will give me a great chance to get better, build some capacity there. I'm one of those, I'd say I'd probably like squat snatches, so I'm really excited about the opportunity to get better in a more intentional manner there as well. But that's what it looks like. We're getting into our game season, folks. So dial it in, show up. I know December's hard. Give yourself some grace. Eat the apple pie. Come into class the next day anyway. And we're looking forward to seeing you and having a great, wonderful holiday season and starting off the new year right. All right, y'all. We'll see you at the gym.